Othering Podcast explores the world of marginalized communities with a focus on the disabled and LGBTQ+. In our discussions, we will provide a platform for our guests to advocate and share their stories. By delving deep into their difficulties and successes, we will explore the changes necessary to improve lives everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
PEP Radio, part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project, advocates for the rights of LGBTQ plus people, the disabled, and marginalized communities. We play music from all 7 continents from 1928 through 2025 in English, Spanish, German, African tribal languages, Korean, and Japanese. We also offer news, history lessons, and are proud to include the Othering podcast in our programming lineup. Tune in on the Live 365 app, Roku, and Alexa every Saturday and Sunday at 4 p.m.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you both?
Good.
Okay, today we are talking to Helen. Helen lives in England with her husband and her cat Stella. In May of 2022, she developed long COVID, which completely changed her life. She was running half marathons, teaching yoga and hiking, and became an ambulatory wheelchair user. She now lives with a bunch of conditions triggered by COVID, including widespread joint pain from rheumatoid arthritis and hypermobile spectrum disorder, POTS, chronic fatigue, migraine, and brain fog. Despite all of this, she tries to find joy where she can. The motto in her house is where we can find the silly. Where can we find the silly? I messed up the motto. When she has the headspace, she's passionate about raising awareness of long COVID and the many weird symptoms it can bring, as well as advocating for disability, inclusion, and accessibility. She is on a journey of unlearning her own internalized ableism and figuring out how to advocate for herself. You can't be a people pleaser when you struggle to leave the house on your own. Welcome, Helen. It's great to have you.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming to talk with us. So, what was it like in England with the COVID pandemic? I'm hoping it was better than here where, we were just saying, oh, it's not real, it's, and then people just drop dead from saying it's not real.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were pockets of that still in the UK. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was kind of geographical in the US, wasn't it? It was kind of, maybe in certain parts of the US, people were maybe a little bit more about it all. Maybe different in other areas. I don't know. It's just outsider looking in.
Yes.
I think in the UK at the start, it almost, this sounds weird, but it almost felt a bit exciting. I think for a lot of people, It was like, oh, well, this is strange. And it kind of took on that kind of British mentality, I think, of like harking back to like the war, of everybody pulling together and,
Right.
Everybody was outside their houses every night clapping for the NHS. And, there was all of this kind of community spirit and like camaraderie. And, I think that first kind of major wave, the first lockdown we had was very much, was treated seriously. We had like a mandated hour that we were allowed to leave our house for exercise. Outside of that, we were allowed to go and get like food supplies.
Right.
Other than that, we stayed in our houses. If you were driving somewhere, if you're on like the motorway on freeway, it was you could be stopped by the police and you had to have like a letter saying why you were doing this, if you had a reason. So wow. It was treated kind of seriously by most people. And then the kind of lockdown lifted a bit. And yeah, time's gone bendy. I kind of can't remember which lockdown happened when, but at one point our government, I think because like the hospitality industry was really struggling, they brought in this harebrained scheme called Eat Out to Help Out, which was as you can imagine, garnered quite a lot of people laughing at that.
Yeah.
Your politicians stood on TV going like, everybody needs to eat out to help out. It was really funny, really
Yes.
funny. And basically you could like go out to restaurants and you got like buy one, get one free on like meals and stuff. It was wild. So they were basically being like, go out and socialize, everybody. So everybody did. And then obviously everybody then got COVID, caused another massive lockdown. And then after that, I think people, I don't know whether people got kind of bored of it, stopped taking it as seriously. And I think that's when a lot of the kind of the conspiracy theories really kind of started to take hold. You know, I remember like when the vaccines came out, you know, I had a friend, when we don't speak anymore, not because of this, but other stuff. And I was kind of one of the first people to get the vaccine because I've had like quite bad asthma since I was a child, and so I was deemed to be like, you know, in need of it. And I was really excited to get the vaccine, and I was like, I can't believe, like, it's so amazing that, you know, scientists and immunologists have like created this so quickly, and like, you know, this is going to be like saving lives and like that. And you know, there are risks. Obviously, there's risks with everything we do every day.
Right.
But I remember her saying to me like, "Oh, I'm not putting that in my body. We don't know what it will do to us." And I was like, "Okay, no, I get your point of view, but also I'd rather do that than die."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, and that was when I was like, whoa, this is strange. Like, you know, this is an intelligent woman who, do you know what I mean? Whose kind of opinion I trust. So yeah, things got weird kind of quite quickly. And then, you know, you start hearing the government's doing this to control us, and they just want to keep us locked away, and
Yes, because
all of that, because, you know, obviously what the government wants to do. But
yes.
yeah, I mean, you know, it did transpire that during one of the lockdowns, our government at one point, I think it was when Prince Philip died, the Queen's husband, and those photographs of Queen Elizabeth sat on her own at his funeral. And there were people around the country not being able to go and say goodbye to their loved ones as they were dying in hospital. And our government were having parties in in Downing Street. So, you know, the government were terrible. The government still are terrible. But yeah, it's a weird time. I can't believe
It was.
Yeah.
I can't believe it was 5.5 years ago. It's so wild.
It does. I mean, of course, the pandemic is still going because COVID is still going everywhere. But
Totally.
that initial kind of lockdown and the parallelism to 1918 when the Spanish flu was going around, and everybody's like, oh, I'm not masking up, and I don't want that in my body or anything like that. And it's just like, it's such a weird hill to die on, to say that you don't want chemicals in your body because you're afraid of the quote unquote the jab, and then but you'd rather get COVID. It doesn't make sense to me.
Cocaine up your nose on the weekend.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
okay, friend.
You trust the cocaine, but not the vaccine. What? How does that work? You know, where does that dissonance kind of come in so beautifully? Where, oh look, MDMA. I'm going to take Molly because I trust that over a bunch of scientists whose job it is to create medicine so that you can survive. But it doesn't make any sense.
They're not Bond villains. Like,
No.
These are geeks in labs, like who've gone into this field literally to make a difference and save people's lives.
Exactly.
They're not going to be like lacing it with stuff.
No, because it doesn't behoove them to do those types of things. Just like, the government is using it to control us. Our governments thrive on capitalism.
They're
And
not clever enough.
yeah, capitalism doesn't work if everybody's at home. So, no, there is no way that our government is going to say, you know what? I want to keep everybody at home. I want to lose trillions of dollars a day. So, how can we totally fuck up the world and make everybody stay home? It doesn't make sense.
No.
No.
So then when did you end up getting COVID? Was this long after all of the shenanigans?
So it was really wild. So I actually like shielded for the first kind of 9 months of the pandemic. And like, my husband, he was doing all the grocery shopping and everything. He was, coming home and like washing all of our shopping when he brought it home. And so, I didn't leave the house at all. And then I kind of started to like loosen up a little bit. I was like, I've got to live my life. I will go outside. And yeah, so that was like 2020, 2021. And then it was in the early April of 2022. It was my friend's birthday, and all of my friends are super COVID careful, and it was like, outside, and it was during the day, and nobody was like drinking, and it was safe. It was safe. And I got COVID that day. And the one and only time that I have had COVID.
Did anybody else from the party get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were three other people.
Okay.
And my husband. So we at least we got to kind of suffer together.
Yes.
So then from having COVID to realizing it's long COVID, what sort of symptoms, what did you go through when you finally realized that, and how did that kind of manifest?
Yeah, so I had like the initial kind of infection was, it wasn't very very nice, but I wasn't really sick.
Right.
I didn't get hospitalized or anything. It was horrible, but could have been a lot worse. And then the fatigue never really left. And I just kind of put it down to, well, it's COVID. People say this happens. And then it was like a month later, I was supposed to be going to a concert with a friend, and I was getting changed, and I looked down, and like my entire legs were covered in hives.
Oh.
And I was like, this is really weird. And then I realized that my entire body was covered in hives, and then my lips were swelling, and I was like, this is really scary. So in the UK we have like a number that we call when it's not an emergency, and they kind of triage you and then tell you whether to go to like urgent care or wait to see your GP, or you need to go to accident and emergency. So I called them, and they were like, no, you need to go to like the emergency room now, because it sounds like you're having an allergic reaction. And I got there and saw a doctor, and by that point, like the hives had gone, but they'd left this really strange, like almost like hexagonal rash all over me, which is called like a reticulated rash. And the doctor there was like, yeah, like people with vasculitis get this. And he's like, have you got vasculitis? And I was like, no, I've never even heard of that. And he was like, oh, weird. Anyway, you'll be fine. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Sure. Thanks so much. At least I'm not dying. And then the hives started happening every day. And it was like, what is going on here? This is so weird. And then I went to see my GP, and the moment he saw that I take like sertraline, I think it's like Zoloft in US. He was like, it was so funny. He was literally like sat looking at his computer, and I could see his screen, and he scrolled down and he saw the word, saw like my medication list, and then he went, "How's your anxiety?" Like that, and I was like, "My anxiety's fine. Why?" And he was like, "I think maybe we should up your dose of your antidepressants." And I was like, "But my mental health's good. Like I'm here because of what's going on with my skin. I don't understand." So that's how it first started. And then I started getting a lot of pain in my joints, in my hands, and in my feet. And for probably 6 months of me going to my doctor regularly, they just kept telling me that it was anxiety and that to just keep taking like over the counter painkillers. Don't worry about it. And by this point, it was winter, and they were like, it's probably cold. I'm just like,
Wow.
okay, like you're literally like living up to every trope and meme on the internet about GPs dealing with women.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
come on now, do better.
exactly. I don't understand that. I mean,
Yeah,
you're covered in hives and you go to the doctor and like, how's your anxiety? That doesn't make sense to
No.
me at all. I am not a medical doctor. I will never pretend to be. I don't even act like one. But I even know that if somebody comes and they're covered in hives, especially on their mouth area and their face and their neck, that is serious.
Yeah.
It's not,
pretty
oh,
sure your brain can't do that.
no, no, it doesn't.
I can't conjure up that with thoughts.
No, I get like I've got listed chronic urticaria on mine, my chart, and I love it when they don't tell you these things. They just kind of put it in your chart, and you just have to, be your own detective. And oh wow, I've got this. Thanks for telling me. But I have it listed in my chart, and not once have I conjured it up by being anxious. I don't get itchy from being anxious. I don't end up with rashes because I'm anxious. I get rashes because I've touched something that I'm allergic to.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So, did you
maybe I'm
ever
stupid, but
did you ever get an answer? What caused the rashes?
No,
No.
I still get them. But they're like it's like localized to my knees.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, really
Huh.
weird. They don't know
Wow.
what it is. So yeah, and then it just kind of like grew from there. The migraine started, then the POTS started. My GP told me absolutely no way that I could have POTS. No way at all. No way at all. No way at all.
That
And then
was anxiety too.
Yes.
oh yeah,
Of
yeah, yeah.
course.
And then I basically, it took me ages to actually get them because I had to go and do my own research, and I was like, I've got long COVID. Like it is so obvious that I was fine, and then I wasn't. Like,
Right.
and the only thing in between is COVID.
That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Like, I would have, if you were fine before, everything is good, and then all of a sudden these symptoms pop up after you have COVID, I would think that they would want to look into it. I would have, I mean, maybe
One
I'm
would think.
the dumbest person on earth. Am I missing something here? Like, that to me would be an perfect example to say, this is not right. There's something going on here that doesn't make sense. You were fine before, the medication was great, it was working, and now you keep coming to me. There's something we need to look into.
You
And
think?
I doctors, I mean, I understand that with COVID and the pandemic, it's a lot. I get that. And I understand, seeing all that death and dealing with all of that death is hard. And it is hard. And I thank you for doing the work that you did. But at the same time, you have to do better.
Yeah.
Not everything is in your face, painfully obvious sometimes those hoof beats could be a platypus coming at you and not even a horse or a zebra. It's just something totally out of left field. And you kind of have to look into that. You can't assume and stop putting every fucking thing on anxiety.
Yeah.
Is it possible that it is? Of course it's possible. But don't just assume that when people are coming to you for help with rashes and, ridiculous heart issues, oh, it's just anxiety.
But also, if I am anxious, it's because
Right.
my body is
Yeah.
suddenly
Yes. And that has,
acting in this
I would
weird
think
fucking way.
everybody would get anxious if all of a sudden your body is doing these weird ass things that it didn't do before. Of course you're anxious, but that doesn't mean that's the start of it. I wish there was like a machine that we could create where we stick all of the people
Oh, I
in.
thought you were going to say a machine to go around slapping everyone.
Well, actually, I was going to say shake the shit out of them, but
Yeah.
Either way.
Either would be great.
yeah, I mean, we could have a slap machine. I don't care. It could be a shake the shit out of you machine. Just kind of get that brain rattled a little bit so it wakes up. And
So do you experience much fainting from your POTS at all? I know that's a
Yeah.
rare symptom, but
Yeah.
And they-
I have
and you still couldn't possibly have it. Unbelievable.
no, I found a good doctor
Good.
in my practice. I love him. I now don't see any other GPs in my surgery, and I'm now under the care of a cardiologist, and he is also amazing. He's a professor in Birmingham. We have a really old university here. He has a really good medical school, and he's a retired cardiologist, cardio surgeon, and then he is now like a professor at the university, but then he works part-time as a specialist in dysautonomia of the nervous system. So I'm really
wow.
lucky.
Yeah.
Because they're really rare in the UK. There's hardly any doctors that specialize in it, and I've got one right here in my city. So.
that is really,
Yeah, that's awesome.
really awesome.
So in your intro, you mentioned your advocacy and your support or
Yes.
research of long COVID. I guess kind of two questions. When did you start that? And kind of how has that been? How have you been working on that? How has that kind of transpired?
Yeah, so it's very it's kind of quiet and small at the moment, but it's probably in the last year. It's something that I've started to be like, no, I need to start speaking about this. It's something that I need to kind of be really vocal about, because I've had people when they've said oh, what's happened to you? And I said, oh, it's long COVID. They've gone, oh, I thought that was made up. I didn't know that was real. I was just like, huh?
No.
And I'm like, okay, again, you're like an educated person that I work with, and you don't think it's real. Something needs to happen here. Something needs to change.
Yes.
And there is very little funding, very little money being put into long COVID anywhere in the world. And there are studies happening in isolation, but when we're talking about kind of awareness and advocacy and making people aware, it's a really it's something I'm still kind of finding my feet with.
Right.
Between there's one thing kind of talking about it into the ether, and I think often in the chronic illness community, in the disability community, I've noticed it was it's dysautonomia awareness month this month. And I was talking to my husband about it, and he's like, oh, is it? I haven't seen anything about that on social media. And I'm like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm in a bubble of chronic illness.
Yes.
I'm already aware of it, and I'm being made more aware of it because I'm in that bubble. And it's like, how do we get outside of that bubble? How do we
Exactly.
reach outside of that? How do we speak to the people in our everyday lives? How do we bring it into the the same kind of lexicon as diabetes or
Yes.
MS or any other kind of long-standing chronic condition that is recognized and people know about and understand that when you say it, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's a debilitating chronic illness,
Yes.
Right.
and so I'm kind of working out the kind of the whys, the wherefores, the hows. I've started like an Instagram and a TikTok, and yeah, I really enjoy the name of my my social media accounts. I've had some people be like, "Yeah, I know, it's really fun," and then other people be like, "No, it sounds really badass." But my last name is Savage, and so chronically savage. It just kind of works.
I think it
I
works
like
So
it.
beautifully. I love it.
I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm kind of figuring that out. I'm not a natural social media person. It's not something, I look at kind of other people and they're like bossing it all over the place.
Yeah.
But, that's just kind of one area. I really want to write and get into that side of things and, you know, look at getting into kind of national newspapers. And I love to write. I love kind of like that side of things. So that's kind of where I'd like to get to. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see kind of where that
When you
goes.
when you started on social media and you started finding all these people that had long COVID or POTS or other symptoms like you've experienced, did you feel validated? Did you feel a lot better after that?
Oh,
And did it make a big difference? That's very
it was
common. Yeah.
it was like a breath of air I didn't know I needed.
Yep.
Yes. I would say that is 100% spot on. It's so isolating no matter what it is. Diabetes, MS, long COVID, you name it, it's still isolating even if people know about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
because a lot of times nothing goes exactly the way it does in the textbooks.
and
And
everybody has it different.
right. And those things you don't know. So you think in terms of, well, it's just me. And
Hmm.
we need to say that everybody looks different because they're different. So if that is happening, then the diseases, the syndromes, the illnesses that we get are going to still be different because we're different people. And a lot of times that's not conveyed. So then you go through feeling isolated and alone. And then when you find your people that understand that, I just can't today, and
Hmm.
you can say
Yeah,
those things and you don't have to explain why,
yeah,
that's like the best cake kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yep.
And also like the education, like for example, I got diagnosed with a form of rheumatoid arthritis because I eventually got referred to a post-COVID clinic who would then like, you need to sort this out, to my doctors. And they referred me to rheumatology, who diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. Then I eventually got referred to cardiology. My cardiologist saw the way I was sitting and was like, "Do you always sit like this?" And I was like in a pretzel. And I was like, "Quite a lot. Why?" And he was like, "Can you do anything with your hands?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm sat there like, "Yeah, I don't know what you mean." And he was like, I think you might be hypermobile. And I was like, "Well, I'm quite bendy, I used to be a yoga teacher." And he was like, "Okay." And then we'd like chatted a bit. And then I went away and researched it and was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I scared myself that I might have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and then read like the entire diagnostic criteria for that and was like, okay, I don't have that. It's okay. But I do have hypermobile spectrum disorder, which is like a weird little like Venn diagram with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos in that it has basically a lot of the same symptoms, but it doesn't tend to kind of like impact things like the heart and the liver and it doesn't, yeah, it's not as, doesn't tend to be as severe on kind of internal
Right.
organs. But I was like looking at like history from like being a kid and stuff like that, and all of that information that well, not all of it, but that the first pocket of information that I got and the first people that I found who were talking about like hypermobility, it was all from social media.
Yep.
And it was all from them being like, you might have comorbidities such as POTS. And it was like all of these like jigsaw, like puzzle pieces kind of like clicking into place.
Yep.
And then it was like, yeah, but why would COVID have caused death when you're born in a hypermobile body? And that was another little rabbit hole I had to go down. And it turns out that it's just like your body just can't cope.
Yep.
And you can be asymptomatic, and then all of a sudden your body, with like getting COVID and then long COVID and the load that my body's been through with that, it's then caused, because the POTS came on quite a lot later, and the generalized joint pain. So the symptomatic element of that had really kind of like kicked in after my body had been just under stress for so long.
Right.
Yeah, stress can do a lot to your body. And especially when it's bacterial or viral, that's like really a lot for the body. And it makes sense that after having COVID, the way that it just kind of sucks everything out of you, and moving it into now that being able to be flexible would be a detriment as opposed to a benefit. It kind of makes sense, at least to me. I can see the progression of that where it's just too much. How did you feel like getting all of these? Like, was it a relief, or was it because like when I got my diagnoses of, it was like, oh, that's what's wrong. And it felt good. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm neurodivergent as well, so I really not enjoy, that's the wrong word. I really like having kind of clarity over things, and I like to kind of have that clear view of what's going on, and so I can research, and so I can have a full understanding of one, what's wrong with my body, and two, make sure that I'm doing everything in my power to help and to try and live the healthiest possible life I can live in the body that I'm currently living in.
And so glad you don't have anxiety.
I know, right?
That anxiety gets us every time.
Yeah. Like, I just need to breathe more.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try yoga.
Yes,
There you go.
definitely.
Oh my God. Like,
Yoga is the cure-all. I mean, I know somebody who like had the worst of everything, tried yoga, they were cured, of course.
I have actually had somebody ask me, have you tried yoga? And the look on their face when I say, actually, I used to teach yoga.
I don't
I was a yoga teacher, and they were like, oh what?
Yeah, you can't yoga your way out of things. Sometimes you can be the healthiest person. You can be a vegan. You could be, a home person making all of your meals 24/7 and run 80,000 marathons a day. Not that that's possible, but you get my drift. And still get sick and still die too. It comes for us all. And, what is the word? Belittling people's experiences and making them feel like shit because we get sick or we can't do certain things anymore or ever. Doesn't make us any less of a human, doesn't make us any less of a person. Just some people, it's like the saying where if you compare a fish to climbing a tree like a monkey does, the fish is going to always feel inadequate.
Yeah.
But if you compare the monkey to the fish swimming, the monkey's going to feel inadequate. You have to be able to say the fish is good at swimming, the monkey's good at climbing, and leave it at that. It doesn't need to be compared.
I'm really good at bed rotting. I'm so good at that.
Yes.
Really good.
I can surf on a couch like no other person.
Oh, you know?
And we have to kind of enjoy those moments and be able to embrace those because we're chronically ill.
With all that being said, you used to run marathons. You were big into yoga. Sounded like you had a very active life. How? Okay, close enough. More than I can do. I'll accept that.
My husband would disagree. He runs full marathon.
How was that transition going from being so active and so, I don't know what you want to say, but not being able to?
It's, you know, part of kind of one of the reasons I set up kind of my social media accounts is a way for me to kind of work through some of the grief that comes with it that I haven't fully processed. You know, I think I've just been in survival mode for the past 3 years, and you know, I started working with my therapist in April this year, and I love her. She's amazing. You'd love her. She is honestly just the best woman. And we were talking about it and like processing a lot of those kind of like feelings that I haven't necessarily processed. I've said that word a lot. And you know, it's very much like a before and after picture, you know, and it's so wild. And I've, you know, one of the posts I put up was, you know, there's like me like kayaking in Croatia, and like there's a picture of like me with a medal after running the half marathon and stuff. And it's just like, I look at those pictures of this woman and I'm just like, who are you? And she's not better than the woman I am now, but she's very different. And you know, the woman I am now is a lot more wise and has learned a lot. I've learned so much about who I really am and actually what matters to me and what my real priorities are. And I've learned a lot about, like, this sounds really corny, but like real love. And when I say that, I mean like from, you know, my husband having to help me bathe, to my friends showing up when they've arranged to go for coffee and I can't come, so they come to my house. And those things that actually really matter, that old me wouldn't even have like crossed the radar of my mind, that those were things that would matter to me now. And this sounds wild, but I'm actually really grateful for that.
It doesn't sound wild. I'm quite grateful for my issues because it taught me so much about who I am, resilient, and I can face a lot of things. And it's like, bring it on. If I can come out the other end of this, then whatever. You've got nothing on me. And I love the way that you brought up true love and real love. And it's just because so many of us always, you know, as little kids, we dream of it in either fairy tales or whatever it is that we see. And that's what we assume is real love. And a lot of times we don't get, even as an adult, we don't get that chance to really understand what it truly is. And I think, as sucky as it is that, you know, we got these illnesses, at the same time, I think we've been blessed because we really realize what is true friendship, what is true love. Because, and then we can be those people for ourselves and others too.
Yeah. And it makes me so like I'm beyond, like, the word grateful almost doesn't cut it.
Right.
For the group of women that I have in my life and the women that I have in my corner who just show up, just constantly and consistently show up for me and have continued to show up for me. Getting a bit emotional. I was not expecting that. I'm not shocked by it because they're just all incredible badass women, but
Right.
we're all in our 30s, 40s, some of us in our 50s, this group of women. And yeah, I'm so fucking blessed to be in the presence of these goddesses, because yeah,
Yeah.
It
I
And
is.
couldn't I couldn't be doing this life without them.
and especially when you go through such crap with the medical field and being
Yeah,
gaslit so much, it's nice to have a good support system at home and have people that do believe you and are willing to
yeah,
help you and work with you. And I'm glad that your husband was able to support you and believe you and didn't just say, I have it and it's gone. What's wrong with you? And
yeah.
actually was able to support you and was good about it. And it's always
He is,
hard as a caretaker, but
as our
it takes a certain
Lord
person to
and
be able to
Savior
handle
Taylor
it.
Swift would say,
Mhm.
he is a walking exclamation point, my husband. he,
Yep.
Yes, and
he's he's a green flag, just a big 6'3" green flag.
Yep.
yes, 6'5" green flag over there talking to us, and I think it's the height. The height kind of makes them better. I
I'm
could
only
be
five foot
biased.
two, so I don't know how tall you are.
I'm only 5'2".
Oh, same thing.
Yep.
There you go.
So it's the height. It's got to be the height.
Yeah. Hmm.
And
It's the air up here.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yes, the air that's different because you're in a different stratosphere level. And I wanted to ask, like, as you're kind of processing all of your feels about, losing the person before
Hmm.
and gaining the person now, because I kind of feel like, I don't know if you'll agree, but I feel like we gain so
Yeah.
much more
Yeah.
afterwards than we
Hmm.
really lost. Like, I was super active. I tried to be very active. I was trying to be as skinny as possible and all of that, because that's what society tells you to be. And then, kids happened. I gained weight from them because it was either I gain weight because I can't move or I move around and I lose my kids. So, duh.
Hmm.
No contest there. And I struggled with it. And for so long, I thought, like, I was disgusting and things like that. And then when I got disabled, more disabled, I should say, I kind of didn't care about it anymore. And
Mm.
like you said, you kind of find your priorities shift.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter as much. Like, I'm not saying let's all be fat. Be the weight that you need to be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter anymore though. Like, I'm
No.
happy in my body for once. I'm not worried about trying to change it to suit whatever society wants it to look like. And I
Mm.
think becoming disabled kind of helped that, because being disabled, you're automatically the quote unquote ugly.
Yeah, and I think that's something like body image and like body perception is something that I'm kind of still on that journey with. And I think I'm quite a recent wheelchair user, and I started like using a cane probably it was like two and a half years ago. Um, no, yeah, around that time, 2-ish years ago, and then started using like a rollator, and then me and my husband we had went on a like delayed honeymoon earlier this year, and hired a wheelchair to try and make sure that we could have like the best time that we could have, and like protect my energy and protect my pain levels and make sure I didn't have a flare up.
Hmm.
And we hired this wheelchair, and it just was a game changer. And
Yep.
literally, he was like, "You're back to being your old self when you're in this wheelchair. Like, you're not hyper vigilant. You're not like panicked. Then, like, you're not exhausted whenever we get to where we're going. Like, this is crazy." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "And I feel different. I'm not like feeling like I'm gonna like protect you at
Right.
every cost, like making sure." And being like, "No, we're not gonna go to this place because you'll be too tired,"
Hmm.
which he does because I want to do all of the things and he has to step in. And so
Yeah,
we hired this. Honestly, I'm like a 5-year-old. It's ridiculous.
me too.
He literally like an almost 40-year-old toddler. He, yeah. And so we were talking, like, had this big conversation while we were like in this hotel room in Spain. And we were like, I think it might be time. I think it might be time we need to look into it. So, yeah. And then I started using a wheelchair user, and that has been a whole thing in itself for my like body image. Which sounds wild, but it's like
Yeah.
being seated or like when you're out in public is something else entirely,
Yeah.
and makes people, yeah.
I think it's like the best.
We had a conversation with another guest about the image and how you feel about being in public with a wheelchair and the people's
Yeah.
looks that they give you and stuff and getting comfortable with it. And yeah, I mean, I can see
Yeah.
the getting used to
Yeah.
it for sure. It's not easy. You
I
get the
mean,
looks,
it's already changed my life
but
immeasurably.
Yes.
but who cares if you get the looks if you're happy and you can
Right.
enjoy yourself finally.
And
I've actually, yeah.
my thought process is I already stick out like a sore thumb anyway. I'm different. I look
Yeah.
different. And it's not like I can put on a hat and suddenly I'm the majority, quote unquote majority. And, you know,
You
get away
can't-
with it.
You can't turn yourself white.
Oh, no, sorry.
What the hell?
So because I stick out already, it was actually kind of nice having the wheelchair for something else for them to look at.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me feel better in my own skin, because it wasn't, you get that hypervigilance of, you know, as a female or as a person of color, that you have to always be wary of everything. And being in the wheelchair actually kind of made me feel like I could enjoy everything, because if they're looking, they're probably also looking because I have a wheelchair. I don't care anymore.
And the last time we went to the Pride Festival, everyone commented on her wheelchair and how cool her wheelchair looked. Not on the fact that she was in it or what's wrong with you. It was a really cool looking wheel, stuff like that.
And
Yeah.
that was awesome. And I think everybody needs that. I think standing is overrated.
Oh, totally. Like, honestly, since I've been in it, like, and I think it's more of a like a self, like an internal thing. And
Yeah.
like I said in my kind of bio, like that internalized ableism of like almost kind of like how am I perceived? And you know, I found myself the other day in a supermarket, my first time on my own in a supermarket in like 6 months. Can I just say, last weekend, I was very proud of myself.
Uh-huh.
And my first time ever in a supermarket on my own in a wheelchair. What do you do with your like groceries? Where do you put them? Nobody could tell me. So I had to go and speak to the security guard, and he was like, it's fine, you can just put them in your backpack. And I was like, but people will think I'm shoplifting. And he's like, just tell them you've spoken to me. I was like, okay, fine. So I'm like, weird. And then I was like, everything's really high up. How am I going to get stuff off a shelf when I don't have my 6'3" butler with me, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like, I can stand for short periods of time without fainting. So it's like, well, I could stand. And there's this like paralyzing fear of like, I can't stand up in here. I can't stand up in here because I'm in a wheelchair. I can't stand up in here because people will see me, and then people will think, oh no, she's faking it. She's doing this. She's doing that. Da, da, da.
Yep.
So I didn't get the thing. I wheeled away and then continued my shopping and then left the supermarket. And I was just like, I need to sit with that, because that's my issue. That's my internalized stuff
Yes.
around how disability is viewed, and how disability and how like physical disability is perceived and viewed, and that's my stuff to deal with, not theirs.
Right.
And that was a big thing for me.
Yes.
And
And I'm
yeah.
still dealing with internalized ableism.
It's a journey.
It is. It's a huge journey. I mean, I kept feeling, now I just recently stopped feeling guilty having a placard. I mean, in something so simple as a placard, I felt guilty using it, thinking, well, there's people that are more disabled than I am that should have it.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept thinking in terms of
That
I'm
also.
taking it from them. I'm taking these spots from them. And then it's like I watched a video, I don't remember where it was. And people were saying, well, you were given the placard because you need it. If you need the placard, use the spots.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. And because I was, hurting myself thinking in those terms. And internalized ableism sucks so much because you try so hard to be this, the hustle culture, which is what it is. And you try to hustle, you hustle, you hustle. And then when your body just can't handle it anymore, and it like, you almost feel like it's betraying you, but it really isn't. It's telling you to stop and slow down and smell those roses because you only get one chance. It's not like, even if reincarnation was real, you don't remember that. So
No, it's not like you gain an extra life on a life.
yeah, it's not like, oh, damn, I lost that life. Let me regenerate. and you retain all your memories. It's not like Mario Kart or anything. And it's just, so we have to kind of, again, I see that as a blessing. Being disabled is because it makes you slow down. It makes you enjoy the earth, the beauty, the grass, the home that you get to live in, your pets, if you have any, which you should, because pets are awesome. And
She has a cat.
yeah, I know she does. I'm just talking to our listeners.
Everybody else in the world.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Damn it, you'll be happier. Children have shown that you can be happy. Not that you have to have children, because they can be big pains in the asses.
That's why I have a cat.
Yep.
And, not that cats and dogs aren't big pains in the asses, because they're perpetual toddlers. But it's freeing, and it's so nice to be able to handle those and find things that make you happy, because you're not focusing on the hustle anymore.
Yeah.
And like you said, you find out what really does matter. And I think it should be those relationships that you've cultivated throughout years, and to find out who truly is a friend, who truly does love you. And, the men and women out there, AFAB, AMABs, transgender, whatever you are, when, you get that till death do us part thing, take it seriously, because it's definitely not easy. Being a caretaker, I'm positive it's very hard.
I'm in awe. I'm in awe of my husband. What he holds.
Yes.
What he holds and what he witnesses. And it's different when you go through it.
Yes.
Because you just kind of you suck it up, don't you?
Yes.
But also
you swallow it down, and you try to again end up kind of injuring yourself in the process, but you try to hold it back and be as accommodating as possible.
But they see that.
Yes. He calls me out on it all the time.
Oh yeah.
And he fusses at me all the time because I'll be like, oh, I can do that. And he's like, how? With what body?
I know you can, but should you?
Yes. And it's again that internalization of you're supposed to, be able to get up and do these things at the whim of at the drop of a hat. And also it's especially for those of us that had not been born with a disability. You kind of get used to running and walking and doing all of these things and take them for granted. And I still say walking is overrated.
Like just being able to cook a meal.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't until I got my wheelchair that I was able to physically cook and not be in pain. And that was just like, what? What is this?
Yeah.
And I was the bad caretaker that said, I don't want to cook every day. So I just bought a bunch of frozen food and got food from out and went lazy.
To be fair, though, sometimes it is hard to cook if you hate cooking.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Like, it's really
I
hard.
am. I'm really lucky. Jeff is a really great cook, and he's like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, no, tonight we're having Sicilian pasta, and he'll like
wow.
make it from scratch. I'm like, okay.
Okay, can you
I
adopt
love
me?
And I'm like, I mean, I'd just be happy with some like fries. But
Right.
okay, we'll have Sicilian pasta.
Can you adopt me? Because that sounds awesome.
Sure, sure.
We do need to
You
start
can come
wrapping
to
it
your
up.
mic, don't worry.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll wrap it up and we'll go get some food.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for
Yes,
joining
thank
us
you.
today. This has been an
No,
absolute
thank you.
pleasure. Do you want to let people know where they can find your advocacy online, find you on Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram, I am at chronically.savage. And yeah, it's the same handle on TikTok, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. And go give her a follow.
Yes, definitely. She's awesome, and she's got a cool British accent. How can you, like, deny anybody with a cool British accent? So you must follow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.